Hey guys, it's Redstone Commander here. Today I'll be reviewing the Celestron SLT 130. This is probably one of my first computerized telescopes I've ever had. It's around $600 something. This is the newer version. The older version has a completely different finder and is more slimmer. Which is basically the second generation. Get out of here. The second generation has the same aluminum covered Newtonian, whereas the older version actually has a much more aluminum but not a matte finish Newtonian reflector. This actually is a computerized alt-azimuth mount that has motorized movement, and it is all in a metal enclosure. Some other motorized telescopes usually have plastic gears. Oh my gosh, how terrible. Or just try to overcompensate with some metal in there, but some of them that are mainly plastic. But no, the metal is all good. Sadly, it is not equatorial, but if you can find a way to put a wedge in there and have it screwed into the main motorized body, you can turn it into an equatorial mount. Though it will look kind of weird. This thing does have a Celestron Sky Portal, which is sold separately. It's a Wi-Fi adapter, but I don't use it with Sky Portal a whole lot. I just basically left it there just for show and mainly use it for computer operation. As long as the computer operation works and does have wireless connectivity. If it doesn't, then I'll just have to use the USB, and that's no good. This does have a hand controller. I do use the firmware manager system and firmware manager software, and do happen to upgrade it to the latest firmware since 2018, and it will run like this until the next update, so good for them. This is a newer second or third generation controller, and it does have the Celestron logo instead of something else, and it also has a USB mini instead of an RJ12 or RJ11 cable for computer connection. The more improved laser dot finder tends to work way better. The LEDs in the older versions, they die a lot, but I think they improved the life on these LEDs for these red dot finder scopes. It does have two focuser knobs, which all do the same thing, and if the focuser thing goes bad, you can always grease it up by placing a bit of oil in there or lubricant. But I didn't put lubricant in there yet, so it still works fine even after the fact that I didn't use it a whole lot. I mainly used the C-Star. Another thing is that it's super easy to collimate. You can basically adjust these with these adjustable knobs and lock the collimation down with these lockdown knobs, unlike the older versions where you or other type of Newtonian reflector where you use a hex bolt. You basically drill a hole to view the collimation and see the progress. You can drill a hole on this protector piece, but I don't do that. I typically use a laser collimator, which I think is probably the best option when it comes to using a Newtonian reflector. Sometimes the laser inside can misalign with the little positioner in the bottom. This little ring right there. If you're supposed to, before you do the actual collimation alignment, you have to point the laser on that inside that little ring. You do this by using a tiny hex tool to adjust it until the laser is in place. It even has a mirror dust cover to protect dust from on both mirrors. Thankfully, this thing does have a leveler. I think the older version of the leveler does look pretty different. Instead of looking green, this kind of has a black with a bubble. Kind of hard to see, but they kind of improved it. Any of the SLTs typically run on AA's, 8 of them. But I kind of removed the AA packs in favor of a power tank. You can also put 9 volts in there and see how that works. This typically comes with 2 1.25" eyepieces. For example, this one actually comes with a 25mm low power 1.25" eyepiece, as well as a 10mm, as well as a 9 to 10mm 1.25" eyepiece for viewing planets and the moon, as well as its craters. Sometimes 2 isn't enough and you need filters, so I reckon to get myself a case full of 1.25" eyepieces right here. That's also separate. I think it's $99 to $100. This one actually comes with also a Barlow included. This one in question actually has a 8mm ultra high power and an even much more overpowered 6mm, an 11mm eyepiece, a 13mm eyepiece, and a much more very, very low power 32mm eyepiece. Very helpful for locating these objects in space. And of course, handy little Barlow, and surprisingly useful, these filter pieces. But what if I want to take pictures of this? For example, what if I want to take a picture of the Orion Nebula or some galaxies and planets? I basically got myself a NexsYZ mount. Various of the StarSense Explorer series, or Explorer DX series, actually does have a similar NexsYZ mount, except it has a mirror instead of a clamp for lenses. I also like that this is probably one of the upgradable telescopes, so you can upgrade it with a StarSense Auto Align and replace this with a StarSense Auto Align, as long as it has the appropriate screw mounts. And since this 130mm reflector Newtonian has a Vixen type of mounting bracket, I can be able to replace it with an XV Bony refractor or an XV Bony Cassegrain, so I can replace it with a 90 SLT or 100 SLT with those Cassegrain and refractors. But keep in mind that this is not a portable telescope, even though I do have a bag to go along with it. I don't take it outside a whole lot. I basically just leave it at home and use it as more of an at-home telescope. If I want to have a more travel-sized telescope, I would use either one of the 80mm refractors. That is one of the portable on-the-go telescopes. Get myself a portable version of the Newtonian reflector, such as a tabletop Dobsonian. Or, what I strongly would purchase, the Inspire 100 AZ refractor. I like the look of it. It is very cool, very space age. And I would prefer to get myself a 100 AZ telescope for on-the-go use. What I also like, that Celestron also provides you a 2-inch eyepiece adapter, so you can replace the 1.25" with a 2-inch and fit those big old Luminos hand grenades in there. I like that the most. I think Luminos hand grenade 2-inch eyepieces provides much better views and gives you much more immersive experience, and I prefer 2-inch eyepieces a lot more than 1.25". 1.25" is probably more harder than 2-inch eyepieces. But anyway, that's my review of the Celestron SLT 130 Newtonian reflector computerized telescope.